Alright, so what I've been doing here is putting on the rails where the solar panels are going to go on. But before we put the solar panels on, I have to put the microinverters on. But right now we're going to put the rails on. Let me show you how to install them. And it's very simple. It's pretty straightforward. So let me show you how to do that right now. Alright, so we got to get our rail here, and we need to measure the total length because these are a lot longer. Total length is supposed to be, for my array, that's 5 rows of solar panels. Each solar panel is, 39.5 inches wide, plus there's an extra inch per solar panel where the clamp goes. So the total length is 201.5 inches. So that's what we're going to do right now. And now we mark it at 201.5. All right, now the next thing we have to do is I have to mark where my brackets are going to go to hold this down. Now, the distance on my ground mount where the poles are, the 30-degree angle, that distance there is 112 inches. Now, I have to put that central in this rack here. So, the 201.5 minus the 112 inches, and then divide that number by 2 is, for me, is it's 44 3/4 inches. So what I need to do, I need to mark here 100, I keep saying 100, 44 3/4 inches here, 44 3/4. Just make a mark with a Sharpie. And the same thing on the other end. (44 3/4). Now the distance between where you marked it from each end, it should be 112. That is where the brackets are going to go. They're going to be mounted right here. Alright, so now we have our brackets, and this is what the brackets look like right here. Alright, these are what's going to hold the rails to the ground mount. And we're going to put those right here. So what we have here is 3 bolts. We're going to put them in this little slot here. The heads of the bolts goes into the slot. And now that mark we put here, that middle bolt's going to go there. There we go. We're going to slide that on there just like that. So this middle bolt is even with that mark that we made. And now we're just going to tighten this all down. Alright, once you got them finger tight. Alright, so we got our brackets mounted here and over here where we had marked it. And now we're ready to mount it on the ground mount. Now right now I'm just setting them up here. I'm not positioning them in any spot right now. But it comes with the U-bolts. You would stick the U-bolts under here. And then tighten them down with the nuts that they give you. And then do the same thing on the top, and then move on to the next. All right, so I'm almost done with my first row. Let me show you how I'm putting them on. And these, it's a different type of clamping system on here. So let's go down to the other end, and let me show you how to install one of these. All right, so I've been putting on my rails, and I've been measuring from the end 13 inches. So it'd be 13 inches from the edge of the solar panel in is where my rail is, and same thing on the other side. And then I tighten them down. I measure this distance here, and I do the same thing up there and tighten everything down. Now what you want loose is these right here. Okay, this will let this rail slide a little bit, okay? Probably won't slide for me now, but a little tap of the hammer and this will slide back and forth. So you want your brackets tight, but the rail's loose. Now, these are the Pro Series clamps that they use. They look like this. Now, this side here will slip into the top of the rail, and your solar panel will tuck underneath here, and this will clamp down on it as I tighten this nut. So let me show you how to do that. Also, when you're putting your panels on, you got to determine where this is going to go right here, okay? And I'll show you the microinverter and what I'm doing underneath too. So anyways, I got my clamps set up here, the clamps for the solar panels, and that clamps under the lip here of the solar panels. You want to make sure the rail and the edge of the solar panel are flush, and tighten them down. And make sure your panels are butting up against each other best you can. Oop. And it'll tighten down. All right, once we have our end clamps clamped down, if you want this flush, of course, here, okay? So by doing that, you can bump this up or down because the rail is going to slide a little bit. And then once that's tight, we're going to tighten down the brackets. So now we have the solar panels on the bottom, they're flush, and this gap here, you want that equal all the way up and down. Once you have that set, then we can tighten this down. Now our rail's not going to move. I got a little, here it's touching, and here I got a very slight gap. That tells me this needs to come down just a hair. In fact, that was too much. But that's basically what I've been doing. Now it's even. Now I can tighten up the brackets. So the most important thing is your first row. Your first row has to be spot on. So you got to keep double checking yourself and make sure everything's nice and even here. Make sure here you got a gap. Mine is like roughly 1/8 of an inch. I mean, it varies. You can pull these apart a little bit because, you know, it's hanging from here. Once I put the clamps up on here and tighten everything down, these won't move anymore. But I got basically 1/8 of an inch or less here gap. So it's very important your first row be spot on, straight, because then all your other panels are going to basically, you know, lay on these, and you work your way up. And so you want everything nice and straight. And to finish it off, they give you these caps, little plastic covers for here. Now, the torque specifications, I'm pretty sure it was 3 pounds per square inch on here. And I don't have a torque wrench, but, well, I do have one, but it's not very good. I'm just going to tighten them till I get a little resistance, and I'm going to stop. 3 pounds per square inch is not much. So that's it. And the same thing on the other one. Once I get a little resistance, and stop. Now, they gave you these nice little covers, and they go on like that. That makes it look pretty. Alright, so these here are the top clamps, or mid clamps actually they call them. They go in between the solar panels. Got a little T on the bottom. Once it fits in the slot and you turn that nut, it locks it into the rail. So that would go here, up against there, and I just want to bring it down a little bit. But I'm not tightening it yet, and not until I get my other panel on. I'm just bringing it close, that's all. And gotta have two, of course. Okay, so these solar panels weigh about 40 pounds each. And don't ask me how I'm going to do the ones up there yet. But I may have to get some extra hands to help me, but we'll see. I can start slipping them through here and putting them on. But climbing that ladder to do that last row, it's going to be a little rough. But I think I can do it. Anyways, so again, the first row is very important. Make sure that's straight. And when you look down the end here and look down, that sucker should be nice and straight. So now, after we tighten your brackets, and I have yet to tighten my top ones too, and we do the first row, I can start stacking them up. Okay, on the first row, they want me to put the panels, these here, together. And this is my microinverter. This is the Chilicon, what is it, the CP720, I believe. And you have a positive and negative wire running out of your panels. It's marked right here, positive and negative. There it is, right there, negative. So we're going to connect 2 of these in series, and then the other 2 that are left are going to plug in here. These are your ins here. These come off here. It plugs in here, and then the other one plugs in there. And then the out is right here. I don't know if you can see that with the light. There we go. The out is right here. And what we're going to have here is the main trunk wires. They're going to plug into here. Everything's plug and play pretty much. He plugs in here and then into the trunk and that's going to go down all the way down to the end to the junction box. Alright, so I am done with the panels. This ground mount is technically done. The hard part is done anyways. The only thing I have left to do is mount the microinverters. I have yet to receive the trunk cable that carries everything from the microinverters to the junction box. But for the most part, the structure, the panels, it's all up and ready to go. So this, as I mentioned earlier in other videos, is a 15,500 watt array. Each panel is a 310 watt. They are made by Mission, Mission solar panels. They are, there's 50 of them, so it's 15,500 watts. The microinverters, as I mentioned earlier, those are the CP720s. They can handle 2 solar panels connected in series. So out of 50, I would need 25, 50 panels, I would need 25 inverters. And they take the DC coming from the panels and change it into AC for the house. So I did my part here as far as the structure and putting the panels up. The guy installing it, the electrician, is going to do everything else. I already got everything. The junction box is set up. The wires already been pulled through the conduit, and they have to put everything in the inverter charger in the garage, and some other stuff on the side of the house, manual breaker, I'm sorry, manual disconnect, and all that stuff. So as far as pricing, each panel roughly online, you can pick it up for roughly around $220. If you look at, if you see some online, they're roughly about $220. Also, the inverters, they're about that range too, $200, $220 for the inverters. The kit by Unirac to hold these 50 panels was, if I remember correctly, roughly $2,800. And all the pipes, I had to get that locally here. The pipes were about $1,100, $1,200, right in that range. I don't think it was over $1,200. Probably roughly around $1,100, $1,150. So you can add all that up and figure out what this is going to cost, or what this cost me basically. So that'll give you at least a good estimate what it would cost to put this up. Now the electrician and the solar guys are going to do everything else. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. That'll alert you to any new video that I put out. All right, guys, so I will see you all in the next video.